it's me, Val Toxic Free. Welcome. So, again, another video about Amber and Jonny. Yes, I know, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I actually saw some things in the audio, or heard some things in the audio that I want to talk about. There's a lot of bias going on, and it's cognitive bias. And cognitive bias is something that we all have. You know, if you've been hurt by a man, you might be biased towards men and think all men are basically narcissists or toxic people or abusers. If you've been hurt by a woman, you obviously think all women are bad. You know, anything that's happened in your life, any trigger, anything big, you have a bias towards it. Now, I've said these two people that have been through hell, we don't know the truth. We see what we see, we listen to what we listen to through perception, through our own opinions, through our own projections. Sometimes what we see isn't really true. I want to quickly explain, I'm not a life coach, I'm just somebody that started a channel up 3 years ago, if anybody's new watching this. And I have been through abuse of many kinds. Now, reactive abuse, that's what I want to talk about as well, because I see a lot of this in the audio that I've been watching. Reactive abuse is when you react to somebody. Now, what I also want to say, not all abuse is loud. Not all abuse is physical. Not all abuse is shouty and swearing and crying and hitting and throwing things. Abuse can be very silent. Abuse can be quiet. Abuse can be somebody who's in control. Abuse could be somebody, you know, it could come from somebody who you least expect it. Now, we've got two people. We've got Amber, who obviously is a very emotional person. And we've got Jonny, who's as laid back as, you know, if he'd laid back any more, he'd be horizontal, basically. Now, firstly, I think there's a lot of things in this relationship, and I think a lot of it is incompatibility. Now, two people, if they're not meant to be together, they're going to misunderstand each other, they're going to shout at each other, they're going to, you know, it's going to be stressful. And the same thing with these two. They're two completely different people. I have watched Jonny on like Graham Norton shows. If you're from England, you'll know Graham Norton. And I thought, wow, what a laid back person. The man is so, I'm going to say flatline. See, I'm quite an emotive person, and there's a lot of people out there who, we're all different creatures, we're all different. And I see Jonny as such a laid back, flatline type of person that you might want to shake occasionally and think, God's truth, man, show me some emotion. Whereas you've got Amber, who I see as somebody who is very emotional. Yes, there's footage of her, you know, playfully hitting people. She's obviously very emotive, very loud, very out there. I have been through a smear campaign, and I've been bashed by people that believe the abuser, let's say that word. If you are wrongly accused of something, it's the most hurtful, horrible thing in the world. Which is why when I've done this video, I want to try and see both sides of the story, so that at least maybe we can use something in this footage, we can use something in the audio, we can learn something from it. I always try and do something positive out of something negative. Now, I don't know how this footage got leaked, and I must admit, I feel sorry for both of them going through hell, especially since there's thousands and hundreds of videos out there going through the audio, and some can be quite nasty, some can be quite biased. So I'm going to try and look at it in a different way. I'm going to play clips that I see as quite an interesting educational thing. I'm not playing the full audio, because if anybody wants to watch the full audio, it's out there. There's millions, it's like exaggeration. There's hundreds of videos out there with a full audio. So you can tell that I'm not editing clips together to make it a certain way to benefit one side or the other. I'm not going to condemn anybody. I'm here to kind of like maybe just sort of see both sides of the story, if we can. I have been, again, like I said earlier, in both positions. I've been in an abusive relationship where I've reacted. Now, I haven't reacted in a physical way. It's been verbal, where to the point where you do scream, you do shout, you get anxious, you get emotional. And especially when someone like Jonny, you're trying to get something out of. I could reckon it would be quite a hard relationship to have with somebody like Jonny Depp. You know, he's out there, he's famous, and the man wears that many masks. You've got to look at that as well. I'm not calling either one a narcissist, but Jonny Depp is a very neutral, flatline person until he puts that mask on, whether it's Sweeney Todd, whether it's Pirates of the Caribbean, whether it's Willy Wonka. You've seen them, and he's an amazing actor, and he can act. But I just find when he's himself, he doesn't seem to have a lot going there. There's not that much, and I'm not being horrible to the man, but I would want to shake the shit out of him sometimes. There might be a few people joining this community to watch videos like this, that the community, narcissist abuse community that I'm part of, we sometimes do videos that reach people in the outside world. If you are watching this and you've come into this community and you're new, please, if you've had any kind of coercive abuse, which is what it's called, narcissistic abuse, any type of toxic person in your life and you don't understand them, just hang around, stay in the community for a little while, watch some videos, because narc awareness is something I'm quite, wanting to get out there and make sure that people don't get hurt in the future, because narcissists are fake people. Narcissists are people that pretend to be one thing in front of the public and another thing behind the scenes. So what we are seeing is a therapy session, which again, if any one of them is a narcissist, a lot of narcissists do manipulate therapy sessions. They will come across as a nice person and they will trigger their partner, who is maybe the actual victim. They will make them seem very loud, very shouty, very angry, and to the outside world looking, and they look like the abuser. But do you know what? Frustration, stress, anxiety, every single thing that you're trying to get something, you're trying to get your husband to love you, to show something, to do something, to stop treating you like, 1 minute they love you, the next minute they don't. And there's so many things involved with narcissist abuse. Again, like I said before, abuse isn't always loud, it's not always physical, it's not always shouty, it's not always banging your fists down and chucking vases and pots and pans. It can be very controlled, very silent. Narcissist abuse is a silent abuse. Is a quiet, controlled, calm abuse. And the reason that being is the fact that the person, I always say this in my videos sometimes, the person that's least cares, the person that least loves, is the person that's in control. Because our emotions can take control of us, and our emotions run our brains, run our hearts, run our everything, and sometimes they just get completely lost. And the person sitting opposite you, who doesn't really care, is quite enjoying the fact that you're kicking off, you're shouting and screaming and saying, but I love you. And they like that. They like drama. They like being manipulating people into telling them how much great they are and how good they are. So what I'm going to do is start the clips, and hopefully, if you're still with me and I haven't bored you to death by now, you may hopefully gain some experience, gain some knowledge, gain something out of this, because I think it's unfair just to rip two people to shreds when we see something in a 40-minute, 50-minute video, and they've spent 3 years together and they've got something that's deeper than what we can see. And I know exactly what it's like when people take it wrong, people don't see the truth, and people don't research, people don't think, well, do you know what, there could be more to this than meets the eye. So guys, I'm going to start the video now. Thanks.
We've got to change how we do things, and I want to trust you, and I feel like all the trust is gone. All the fucking trust is gone in the relationship because you keep splitting.
I'm not going to be in a physical fucking altercation with you.
Then don't.
You fucking hit me last night. You fucking...
What about all the other times you split? Come on, you cannot act like that's about that. It's not.
Well, on a plane I can't split.
No, and you hit back, so don't act like you don't fucking participate.
I pushed you.
I'm not going to get into the details of that fight. You and I both know that you split when there is no physical violence, and that you do it like at the very beginning of fights these days. And if you split and you go into a different room and you don't actually leave that house, it does nothing but perpetuate the fight.
But what I see is somebody trying so hard to explain why she gets frustrated, why she gets angry, why she wants to argue all the time, to try and get something out of him, and try and tell him how much he's hurting her by walking away, by splitting, as she calls it. Now, a lot of the time Amber uses the word fight, but I do think she means argument. So the perception of that from people looking on is thinking that she wants to fight and she wants to use her fists and she wants to thump and hit and slap all the time. It's your perception. But as she's trying to explain, all he keeps doing is throwing back at her what she's actually been doing by hitting him and shouting at him, and he keeps saying, but you fucking hit me, but you fucking hit me. That doesn't help. If someone's trying to explain, you need to sit and quietly and listen, and you need to go, okay, I understand. If throughout this whole audio, if Jonny just sat there and said, okay, I actually understand where you're coming from. It's called empathy, and this is where I see Jonny lacking a bit of empathy, is the fact that he's not actually seeing things from her side. He just keeps on saying, but you hit me, but you threw things at me, but you screamed at me, so I left the room. He's not understanding what she's trying to say. See, when you leave the room or walk out in mid-argument or mid-conversation or even mid-fight, yeah, if it's mid-fight, if you are having fists thrown at you and things thrown at you, I can understand why you would walk away. But the thing is, you really need to try and stop the argument and try and understand the argument and not make that argument get worse before she gets like that. Now, if she is that kind of person and you know that she throws things and you know, you either leave her or you try and speak to her. Walking away is a form of abuse. Walking away, giving someone the silent treatment, that's torture. That's abuse. And I've been there, and this is why this video is being made, because I can relate to a heck of a lot of things that's going on. Walking away, not talking, making the situation worse, where the frustration might make somebody get so angry where they do throw things, which is not, acceptable. I'm not condoning that, but I can also see where high emotion can make people do things. The silent treatment, it's abuse. So whether Jonny knows what he's doing, whether he's aware of what he's doing, whether he's choosing to walk away, whether he's choosing to make her worse, whether he's that kind of person, whether he's a narcissist, or whether he just doesn't know how to deal with her. Walking out of a room on somebody who's trying to explain something and giving them the silent treatment is not going to help it. It's going to only add fuel to the fire, and I think this is what's happened, is that he doesn't realise, whether by choice or just by stupidity, do not walk out on somebody who's trying to explain something to you. Try and calm them down. Try and understand the point of view. You give them the silent treatment, and as she says through this audio, it makes her worse. It's like a cancer. It eats away at her. It frustrates her. It's not helping.
I did not start screaming until you had fucking said all this shit. You poke an animal enough, it is eventually, doesn't matter how friendly it is or how cool. I have these things to you. I have not started the fight by saying I'm going to get in another room. And I'm not going to sit here and fight about fucking Toronto anymore. Guess what? I let it go. I'm not fucking talking about Toronto. I'm so sick and tired of fucking fighting about old fights. This is not about a fight. This is broad. This is a broad thing.
So Amber's also trying to explain a broad thing here. She's trying to explain the whole situation, the whole relationship, how the whole relationship makes her feel like she does. But what he keeps doing is just picking up points, small little points, and saying, but you hit me. And if she tries to say something to him and he said, that's not true, she sees it from her side. From her, what she's seeing, it's true. So when someone starts to say that's not true, that's gaslighting. You can't change somebody's feeling. If that's her reality, if that's Amber's reality, you've got to accept it. And rather than saying that's not true, just say, okay, I said that, I'm sorry. When people start accepting the responsibility, which is one thing that narcissists don't do, is respect, is take responsibility, then that's not really good. It's a two-way road. And although Amber's trying to open up here, I think he keeps shutting her down in a way and saying it's not true. And one other thing that he's also doing in this section is he keeps going back on old fights. Now, I'm not calling him a narcissist, but at the moment, I am seeing a lot of traits. Now, Jonny keeps going on about Toronto, about a fight they had in Toronto. And as you can hear, that's the most frustrating thing in the world when you're trying to talk about the present and the person you're arguing with keeps going on about the past. To me, that's a get out clause. That means he doesn't want to talk about now. He doesn't really care about the now. He doesn't have the information in his head to explain why he's been a certain way. See, narcissists do things, and sometimes when they're pretending to be emotional, and then you ask them about something, they're actually pretending, they can't answer it. If you start asking somebody who's not an empath, explain what empathy is, they won't be able to do it very well. So she's asking him to dig deep into himself and to come out and say something to her and help her understand and understand her what's going on in the relationship. But because he doesn't, it's like someone talking French to him, he doesn't understand. So what these people do, and when I say these people, I mean narcissists, and again, please don't quote me, I'm not saying he's a narcissist, but his traits are coming up like one. Jonny doesn't seem to want to respect her trying to explain why she's in so much pain, and all Jonny keeps doing is reverting back to the past, which is, again, when you've had past arguments and you think you've sorted them out, and then all of a sudden 2 years later, 2 months later, 2 weeks later, 2 hours later, they get brought back up again. That's the most frustrating thing for anybody. So the frustration there, and that's why she starts to yell and to scream, because she does not want to talk about Toronto anymore.
You never fucking try and work it out. You never fight for me. You never come to me. You never self-calm. You never self-soothe. You're never the one to throw the olive branch. I'm sick and tired of it. It needs to fucking change. And you can go, I can't meet those demands. I can't do it. Or you can fucking promise me so I have a modicum of safety. I feel a modicum of respect. A little tiny shit sliver of fucking like, you are in this whether it is good or bad. Whether it is good or bad. Down and up. Haven't, because we have not been well. We have not been good.
The most frustrating thing when you're in a relationship with a narcissist is when they don't do anything for you, when they have trained you to fix them. And that's what we are. Empathic people, good people, people with empathy, whatever you want to call them, we are fixers and we like to fix. And that's a trait in us that manipulators like to manipulate. So if they fall out with you and walk out the room, they know if they leave it long enough, you will be the one that comes running. And when we do it time and time and time again, it's a one-sided love. Because when somebody goes out of their way to come to you, to knock on your door, to give you the olive branch and to make an effort for you, that means it feels balanced, it feels more, you feel secure that they actually want you. But waiting for us to fix the relationship the whole time, which is what it sounds like Amber's doing. Every time they have a fight or an argument, he walks away, he splits, he leaves the room. He gets a hotel room on his own, which must be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for somebody who doesn't feel loved. Now, Amber could be a codependent. Amber could be triggered with something. Amber could have had a past relationship. We don't know anything. We know nothing. But we're just looking and judging by what we see. So I'm trying to look a little bit deeper to see where this is all coming from. And I do see somebody that wants to be made to feel wanted. And I'm finding that Jonny isn't doing that. And he's not taking what she's saying seriously. He's not feeding her. He's not giving her anything back. So, you know, it's always about the past. It's always about what you did. It's not like, what can we do to move forwards?
We've been on the road basically since Australia, and I have been at your side, and I have not been filming a movie.
Well, we were on our honeymoon. I hope you were at my side.
I'm not talking about just a honeymoon, now am I? I'm talking about love for it to be better. I have no fucking consistency, no safety, no security. The relationship is something you don't fight for, you don't stand up for, you always run from when it's tough. I need to know if you're going to be there. I want promises. I told you that at the beginning of this conversation. I need promises you're going to fucking be there. If this is something you'll fight for, that this is something that's sacred, that neither of us throw out every fight.
She is, sounds like she's just trying to get him to live up to what she signed up for. Basically, she got married to Jonny, and she probably feels like, you know, it's not doing what it says on the tin. You know, she's not supporting her. Sorry, he's not supporting her. This is how she feels. Now, remember, it doesn't mean that us looking in from the outside that we might believe it differently. He might think he's looking after her. He might think he's doing his best. But when someone says, I need more, you either give them more or you say, I can't give you any more, and you leave. But by denying someone's reality, if somebody's saying something to you that I need more, I need you to care, I need you to show me some respect, I need you to make me feel safe and secure. And I think she means that in the marriage. She's not feeling safe and secure. She's married somebody, but she doesn't feel like she's in a marriage, and she just needs something extra. And I don't think he's understanding her. Again, like they say, women are from Mars, men are from Venus, or is it the other way around? You know, there's the compatibility level isn't there. That they're doing this, they're missing each other. He's not actually stopping to understand what she's saying, because he might not feel it. If he doesn't feel the same as her, if he doesn't feel, you know, like she's walking away from him, if she did the same to Jonny, Jonny would also have the empathy, and Jonny would understand how it feels to have someone walk away, or to split, or to ignore them, or to give them the silent treatment. And then he would understand where she's coming from. But the fact is, because he knows she's always going to be there, and he knows that if he leaves, and she'll be waiting for him, if he knows that, you know, she's the fixer, and that whatever he does, he can lay back and think, well, she'll turn up. She always does. You know, empathic people aren't dogs. You can't train us. But that's what it feels like. It feels like the manipulation is training us. You know, you feed a little bit, and you take it away. You feed us, you take it away. And that can really, really make someone sick. The endorphins, the all the different dopamine, everything that's going through the brain and through the heart, and the, you know, it's just the hardest thing when you're trying to communicate with somebody who does not understand. And I don't think Jonny actually understands her. So that's where her frustration's coming from, where she's screaming and shouting, because he's in a different relationship. He's in a different relationship. He's doing things to her that she's not doing to him, so he can't see, he doesn't understand the point, he doesn't get it.
I can't be the only one to hold the promises. I was in Toronto and it fucked me over. If I split on you, all those times that I thought about doing it, we would not be here. And I stayed, and it's tougher. You know, that's stronger. I'm stronger. It's easy to run away from problems. It is easy. I'm not saying we should get in physical altercations. I never want to be in that. Every time you don't like what I say and you fucking run away, it's harder to say to somebody, I want to work this out. I want to face what I have. I want to face what you have. I want to work it out with you. You're not working it out. You're running away, and then you make me be the bigger person every single time and come to you and knock on the door and come to this house and say, hey, we're married. It's supposed to be sacred. Calm down.
I made you.
Yes, by default. I have to be the strong one.
Amber's again trying to explain what she wants from the marriage, that she is always the one that's going to him, and the fact is that he's not doing the same is obviously making her feel unloved. And the thing is, if he keeps going on about, why are you with me then? If I'm a horrible person, you know, that again is just antagonising her. He's not giving her anything. He's not meeting her halfway. He's just antagonising her by saying, you know, what, you know, you think I'm this bad person, well, why are you with me? When Amber says, you know, you made me come to you all the time, I'm always the one that's coming to you, you know, he's holding on to that, because at the end of the sentence, he goes back and he said, so what, I made you. And she didn't mean... See, people like that will pick up on little things. They live and they thrive in ambiguity. They will take sentences and they'll twist it. They do understand what's going on. They do understand what we're talking about. But they act stupid. And by acting stupid, they do not have to be honest. If you don't really care about somebody, if you don't really give a toss, you're not going to say it. You're not going to go, well, I don't really care. You're going to make excuses up, which is acting stupid, which is getting the ambiguities, like, you know, you made me. She didn't mean he made her. Can you see that word? It can be seen in two different lights. And she meant that, you know, the way he is, his actions make her having to go and run to him all the time. He saw it as what? I made you. So he's seeing it in a different way. And they will do that. And I was watching this the first time round, and the frustration that I was going through just watching and seeing how he twisted the context, and he would wait until she'd finished the sentence and then go back and pick up something she'd said like 3 minutes earlier. It's as if he was waiting for her to finish a sentence, and then he would, as if he wasn't listening to what she was saying, and then you'll notice this, he goes backwards and says, so you made me do, and it's just like, oh my god, no, I didn't just say that. And what happens is, people that are empaths, people that are in narcissist relationships, people that have been abused, all we do is defend. They make us defend ourselves, and that's all she seems to be doing this whole thing. So people who see her as an abuser, you know, what does it make you an abuser? Is abuse choice or reaction? You know, people who choose to abuse, to me, are abusers. What we're all calling Amber is an abuser. Now, yeah, she's hit, she's got angry, she's got stressed, she's got frustrated, but I'm sorry, if I was seeing somebody like Jonny, I would be just the same. For someone who keeps leaning on a context twist, on an ambiguity twist, and you'll notice that Listen out for that, where he'll pick a word and he'll look at the ambiguous side of it that's actually going to be more offensive to her than actually going to help the conversation. Yeah, like I said, is abuse a choice or is abuse a reaction?
Again, I am fighting for the relationship.
With a guy that you don't fucking trust or like? What?
I did not say I didn't like you. I love you. You're my favorite person in the world.
I don't see how.
I remember what I said at the beginning. I'm sorry you feel like you can't imagine it. But I said this to you at the beginning of this conversation. I said, you're my favorite person in the whole world. If you weren't the most magnetic, shiny, beautiful, interesting, dynamic person I had ever met in my life, it would be so easy to walk away from this bratty thing that you do.
Untrustworthy.
Did you hear what I just said? Yeah. I said I can't trust. I can't trust. That's not meaning you're untrustworthy. It means that we've created a situation. We've created a situation in which there cannot, trust can't grow. It's like
Amber trying so hard. Now, people might disagree with what I'm saying in this video, but this is my opinion, my perception, and basically quite a long time of experience in this subject and research. I just see somebody who's trying to explain why she is the way she is. She's trying to fix it. She's trying to get him to understand. But all he keeps doing is picking up words. So, so what, I'm untrustworthy. And she said, did you not just hear what I said? They don't want to listen. They make it worse. And I've been there where she's been in a round and round and round conversation where it's like a word salad where there's words just thrown in and he'll pick up the certain words that he wants to argue about. She's trying to tell him how much she adores him, and I don't hear anything coming from him. And that's what she's asking for. I don't hear anything coming from him.
It's like it's trampled every single time, and we need a marriage. That's why I sat down. Do you not remember me sitting down at the very beginning of this conversation and saying just that to you? Saying, I know you got married for security and for safety. So did I. We did not get married because it was something that we're doing, because it was something we could walk away. We wanted the foundation. No?
Yes, I wanted to make you my wife.
Yes, but you could just have me as your girlfriend if you didn't want the foundation. And you told me, and maybe you go back on it now. Fine, okay, cool. Lie about that. I don't know. You told me you wanted a foundation. You told me you wanted the security. You wanted the safety. You liked the foundation. At the beginning, you said, I really like having that. It feels safe. So don't argue with me when I say it now.
I'm not arguing with you.
Oh, yeah, but you had to pick it apart.
By saying because I loved you and you're my wife, I wanted you to be my wife.
Amber feels vulnerable. She feels like he's not actually committing to her. In this clip, she's also talking about how if you didn't want to commit to me, you didn't want the solid relationship that we are supposed to have, why did you marry me? Why couldn't we have just been girlfriend and boyfriend? And there's also a section in this where he does say the word loved. And then later on, she does bring it up. Now, I'll explain that situation in a minute, but she hears that word. And when you are looking for crumbs, we all know that anybody watching this who's been in a relationship with a narcissist, a toxic person, or someone who just doesn't really give a shit, you're looking for crumbs continuously. And that word resonates in her head when he said, loved you. And I remember having something very similar in a relationship that I was with. And he said something like, he told me he was going to file. He'd already filed for the divorce. But then when he'd come and told me what he'd said to his ex-wife, he said the word file. I picked up on that and I said, why did you say file? I thought you'd filed. Filed, it doesn't matter, same thing. And I remember that and I picked up on that, and that means a big thing. We're like little detectives. We're looking. We just want to know where we stand, and she's trying so hard. She's trying so hard to explain to him how her feelings are affecting and how his actions are affecting her feelings, but Jonny's not giving anything. He's just picking up on certain points, going over the past. And it's obviously very frustrating for her to try and get blood out of a stone. But listen to the word loved. She does pick it up.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight about a fight. I want to fight about the semantics. I want to
How come when I come up with a point, you can't answer it? You don't want, or suddenly you don't want to answer it?
What am I not answering? Because I don't want to fight about this new thing? No, I don't want to. I said you wanted the safety and security, and you stopped me, you interrupted me, and then you said, what? Because because I wanted to have you as my...
I didn't interrupt you. You asked me, right? Right?
I meant you interjected. I meant you said. You said. How about that? See, now, is this better? I answered you. I addressed what you're saying. Now, can we please not fight about that?
And I said, because I love you.
You said loved.
We're talking about a fucking event that's past tense. If I used loved, my apologies. It doesn't mean I don't love you now.
My whole point that you, I don't know, an issue with is that you love me. Yes, you married me though because you wanted some safety, some security, some stability, a foundation. Of course I want that with you. It's why.
Talking about a fucking event that's past tense. If I used loved, my apologies. It doesn't mean I don't love you now.
That bit there, she did say, you said loved. Now, people watching this video and the other channels that I've seen, they've picked up on that section. He said love, and then she went back to talking about loved. But a lot of people are saying that she twisted the word love to loved, and she didn't. She was talking about the previous word loved. I noticed that the amount of times I've had to watch this audio to edit this. Yes, he said love, then she said you said loved, and he said, and that's where it gets confusing. He did actually say loved, and she was talking about the previous word loved, not the word love that he just said. So that's one thing. But you see, she doesn't want to fight anymore, and he keeps on bringing up old stuff. And also what he's doing is he's confusing her, and she's having to keep defending herself and changing the words so that he can understand them. So he's using again the ambiguity, where he'll say something and she'll know, I didn't mean that. How about if I say this? Is that better? Is that word better for you? Can you get that word? So she keeps on, they're fighting about the smallest things that mean absolutely nothing, like a word that's said wrong, whereas they should be talking about the relationship, and he should be saying, I understand, and giving her something back. But all he's doing is being critical the whole way through this. So if I get ripped apart for this video at the moment, Jonny's not helping himself, let me put it that way. Yes, she's a very emotional person, but I'm afraid Jonny is not giving her anything to calm her down, to make her feel quiet, to make her feel loved, to make her feel cared. He's just ambiguously changing and twisting words, twisting context, picking up the past, throwing things at her, and making her feel like a piece of shit.
But I need the safety, I need the security, I need the boundaries, and I think you, would you not agree?
She mentions the word boundary. Now, I'm going to say this. In our community, we're always going on, and we're always telling people, the women mainly, again, a lot of men, it's not a woman thing or a man thing, it's a gender thing, it's narcissism. We're always telling the women, put your boundaries down. Tell them what you want. You need boundaries in your relationship. You need to tell him. Now, all I can see is a woman trying to give boundaries, trying to tell her husband that these are my boundaries. Yes, she may be doing it a little bit of a loud and emotional way, but all I can hear is somebody putting up their boundaries for what they want and what they expect and their standard of what they've married into. But you know what's happening in this YouTube world? Is she's being criticised for putting up the boundaries. So it's a case of like, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. So Amber is there trying to give some boundaries, trying to say, this is what I want. I'm sorry I've done this. This is why I'm doing this, and I need some boundaries. I need to know you care. I need to know this marriage is going to last. This is her boundary, and all we've done, and a lot of channels and videos and comments have ripped her to shreds for having a boundary. The amount of comments and videos I see out there, you need boundaries. Give him boundaries, tell him boundaries, and here is Amber finally giving somebody she loves the boundaries at what she expects in a marriage. And what we do, we call her an abuser.
So
when you start flipping out and I can't get a word in, and it's, manic and angry, well, what the fuck, Amber?
I get angry. I'm human.
Just try anger. If there's something fucking really fucking poking us in the ass, jumping down each other's throats, because all that's going to do is build a mountain of fucking resentment and totally fucking mistrust, because you say you don't trust me. I get it, okay, I'm flake, I'm a this, I'm a that.
I didn't say as a person I don't trust the marriage, I don't trust you, I don't feel safe with it, because you always fucking bail on it.
he's stating the obvious in this one. Now, obviously, she's tried to explain herself why she's doing a certain thing, but he's not. He's just stating the obvious and saying we need to stop arguing. We just need to stop arguing, and then everything will be great. It's easier said than done. You need to understand why you argue. You can't just say we need to stop arguing, because that's just not really right. And also in this section, he starts going on about, you know, how you mistrust me and how I'm a flake and how she's going to have to start explaining herself again. See, this is him going past. She's already explained that about the mistrust. She's already actually told him, it's not you I mistrust. I don't feel this trust in the marriage. I feel unsettled. I feel unsteady on her feet. She feels like the ground is being taken from underneath her because she's got no stability. That's what she meant. She's said it a few times already, but Jonny keeps coming back and saying, you know, you keep saying that I'm a flake and you're saying that you don't trust me. Well, that's not going to help if you keep bringing up again past things that you've already sorted out. If you've sorted them out, leave them there. And also playing the victim, I'm sorry, but when he says, you know, I'm a flake and you don't like me, why are you with me? Don't say that. That's not actually going to help, because that's actually going to create her then to have to keep being defensive and explain herself all over again. There's nothing worse than having to explain something to somebody 5 times and then they do understand it. They're just doing it on purpose to be irritating, and it's a victim thing. It's playing the victim. You know, you don't trust me. You know, you think I'm a flake. No, she doesn't. She's never said that. You're twisting words. Not looking good for Jonny so far, is it?
You know,
I want the trust back. You can deflect all you want, say it's my fault, say how dare I get angry at you ever, whatever. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what.
And sometimes I don't. I don't want to fucking be there and go through the shit. I don't, man.
It's not like I'm saying, hey, choose fight.
You just said I get mad, I'm gonna scream.
No, I didn't say that's always the case. I said, yeah, I'm mad. It happens.
It happens often.
If you think I'm some fucking tyrant or bully, then don't fucking be with me. But don't sit here and insult me like I'm the fuck up because I have the
but you're
audacity
the one
to get
saying that I'm the tyrant and the bully and at the same time the guy that runs away and
you run away every single fight.
She's trying like mad to explain to him, but he's not saying why he does certain things to her. You know, all he keeps saying is the blame thing. Like, the reason I leave the room is because you get angry. The reason that, you know, I don't like to be around you when you're angry because you get angry and you bang things and you throw things. It's not giving anything. And also towards the end of that little clip there, he's saying, you know, you call me the tyrant, you're calling me the bad one. You know, she didn't say that. She didn't call him the bad one. She was trying to explain to him again earlier on that the fact that he splits all the time and the fact that she doesn't feel loved, she feels insecure in this relationship. She's trying to explain so many positive things. Well, they're not really positive, but you get what I'm saying. They're positive towards helping the relationship working. And then here, as if he doesn't pick up any of that, and he'll be like, well, you just called me a tyrant. You just said that I'm the bad person. That's the most frustrating thing, when they turn a good 15 minutes worth of explanation. Sorry, I can't get that out. 15 minutes of you pouring your heart out, trying to make the person understand why you are the way you are. For them after that 10-15 minutes just to come back and saying, well, you called me the bad person. It doesn't help. He's not understanding her at all.
What are you
I'm not
doing
lying
with me?
about it.
Then what are you doing with me?
I already answered that. We went through this conversation literally 5 minutes ago. I answered this already 5 minutes ago.
You just said to me that I shouldn't be with you.
No, I said if
That's
you...
what I feel.
No, I said if I'm some, you know, harping bully, which is what you make me sound like. You're ignoring everything that I do for you. You make me sound terrible. You talk about me in a terrible way. You do not fight for me, and then you want to sit here and make me sound so terrible to be around.
Fight for you?
You don't. Everything I've already explained.
No,
10 minutes.
No, fight for you. I don't understand.
You never ever do the work
put in the work. If we're arguing about something, you don't ever try to get to the bottom of it, figure out, make the peace. You don't fight for me. You don't fight when there's a problem. You don't come to me. You don't make peace with me. You never extend an olive branch. You're never the bigger guy. You're never the one that's like, okay, I'm going to put my own feelings aside for a second and say, this is bigger than us, let's stop fighting. You never are the one to come and knock on my door. You take me for granted.
It's not true. It's not true.
So yet again, he's gone back and he's picked up again. He's repeating something. He's saying a silly comment that's actually going to wind her up again. So she's obviously having to re-explain everything. She actually says there, I've been through this. I'm not re-explaining it, you know. And also he says things like, what do you mean that I don't fight for you? I'm sorry, but when people start acting like, say, a stupid comment, again, it's a lot of silly comments are coming out. He does understand that. He does understand, but he just keeps, it's a control thing. It's about keeping control of the relationship. Sorry, keeping control of the conversation. You know, I don't understand. What do you mean fight for you? What do you mean I don't understand that? He does understand that because she's explained it already 3 times. So that's just actually getting her back up. That's just actually going to get her maybe get more upset. So she explains again how she feels, and she keeps repeating herself, and that's what's going on here. It's a circular conversation. You know, he's not getting it. He's not agreeing with her. He's not taking any responsibility. I'm not saying he's a narcissist, but I'm sorry, it's not looking so good. You know, I'm not saying she's perfect, but she's trying. See, a lot of people who've been through abuse or are a survivor of abuse, and I know I've been here myself, we want to explain, we want to try and understand, we want to try and make people see what we're feeling and how we are a certain way. We're very deep. Jonny's so laid back again, you know, he's literally asleep half the time. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand, and he is not explaining to her why he does certain things. He's not explaining to her why he splits, except for the fact the blame game was because you throw things at me. She wouldn't be throwing things if he understood her more. So it's a kind of a catch-22. And at the end of that bit, he said, you know, no, it's not true. That's not me. That's not what I do. And he's gaslighting her again, and it's taking away her reality. That's not true. Yes, it is. If somebody feels something within a relationship, whether they meant to make them feel like that or whether, you know, it was a choice, don't ever say to anybody, that's not true, you're being silly. I didn't do that to you. Don't be ridiculous. That's gaslighting. There's nothing worse than when you feel something and the other person has no empathy, so they can't feel it, and you say, you know, you're making me feel this way. No, I'm not. That's what Jonny's done all the way through this, is no, I'm not. It's not true. I haven't said that. And to her, it's true. It's real. It's how she feels. Now, whether he knows that or whether he's meant her to feel like that, that is how Amber feels. And for him to say that's not true, that I didn't do that, it's not helping. To say sorry, I understand now, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to make you feel that way, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. That's taking responsibility of making someone feel a certain way. By saying, no, I didn't make you feel that way, that means they don't have to apologise for it.